Hey y'all, this is Liz with Gun Gals with an I'm so sorry y'all, with another episode of Gun Gals Live. We've got an awesome show for y'all tonight. Tonight we're actually tackling the subject of should I get or carry a gun? Before we begin, let's run through tonight's panel of lovely gun gals. Tonight we have Miss Armenthea.
Hey y'all, I'm here. Sorry, I have a sleeping grandbaby in my lap, so I'm trying not to be too loud. Hope
Aw,
y'all can hear me.
You'll be fine.
we totally
Okay,
hear you.
Yes.
good.
And we have Miss Stacy. Hey lady.
Hello, how's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good. And we have Miss Jessie. Hey.
Hey, hope all y'all out there are having a good Sunday evening.
Always. It's always good with you ladies. All right. Thank you, ladies, so much for being a part of tonight's episode and for all you do for Gun Gals. As always, we would love to have you join us in the chat. To get the hookup, email us at info@gun-gals.com or find the Gun Gals on Facebook groups or on Facebook. The Gun Gals Facebook group is where our discussions continue through the week. So if you're new to Gun Gals, be sure to check us out there too. All right. So, as some of y'all know, October is National Safety Awareness Month. So, during this month, we're wanting to talk all about our safety and being aware of how to stay safe. This week, we're going to tackle the question, should I buy or carry a gun? Now, obviously, this being gun gals, y'all probably already know which side of the political line we tend to stand on. So we're not going to be dividing or diving into the political morality of the issue tonight. However, we would like to focus more on some questions and thoughts that are not as prevalent and maybe overlooked. Before we jump into the deep parts of our conversation, let's start by running through the panel. I know we each have a different story when it comes to carrying. So let's go through and say, what is the reason you personally started to carry, or what's the reason you personally bought your first gun? Let's start with Miss Jessie. I don't know why I keep saying Miss. It's a Southern thing, y'all. It's stuck in my
It,
head today.
it's okay. We have kids. We do it all the time. Um, Speaking of kids, that is pretty much why I became a gun owner and why I went and became a concealed carry, or I got my concealed carry license. Um, because at the time I was pregnant with my son, and you see a lot of things happening on the news. People are being attacked. Um, it just became quite clear to me as I'm pregnant that I was not going to be able to fight off somebody bigger than me, stronger than me, or faster than me, or even more than one person. And so I wanted to make sure that I could not only protect myself, but I could protect my kids. It's a little nerve-wracking, um, being in a new state and not having a license up here, but I am definitely working on getting that fixed.
Awesome. I know change in states can definitely make huge wrenches in our plans, and especially getting back to normal is difficult. So we're reeling for you, girl. All right, Stacy, what is your story?
For the longest time, I didn't really think much about guns, but, I got my husband, and it was still quite a few years later. But once all the, more of the shootings started happening, or, a place that we'd, a store we go to, or a place in Tulsa we usually go to, you find out there's shootings later on. That same, exact store you've been to makes you think a little more, what if you were there, you know, and that was mostly my reasoning on deciding to get my going and to get my concealed carry and stuff, which is like because anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely can be scary. All right. And Arminthia, what is your story behind why you started carrying?
Um, Even when I went and got my concealed carry license, I didn't carry, and I didn't really start carrying until the first of this year. Um, And that's after my job changed and I was driving so far for work and realizing that I was in rural, rural East Texas. There's just a bunch of nothing, in between towns, and realizing that I drive a lot when it's dark. So for me, it was just a matter of just being safe. So, um, but I got my concealed carry license, like 5 years ago. Um, that was with the encouragement of my husband to go ahead and do so. So I have still yet to buy my own gun. So
Time's coming.
yeah, it is.
It's about
Just not
time.
yet.
Oh, yeah. You'll get there.
I will. I know.
It's all good. I do share the same sentiments as y'all. I carried in Wyoming when we lived up there before we had out, and but not as much as I should have probably. Coming down to Texas, we lived in Houston for about a year before moving out here towards Beaumont, and both places. I love Houston. I grew up going to Houston every year for family, but it can be scary there, like for real. Um, Especially, all the interstates crossing there. And then even out here, I-10, the stories that you hear are just sex trafficking is rampant down here. Like, I've even talked to police officers and stuff about it just to be like, how bad is it really? And even, I mean, it's not so bad that you should be looking over your shoulder at all times, but you should certainly be aware of your surroundings. So, especially after out and I started carrying a lot more. So I definitely, the safety and just being more aware and that kind of stuff is what got me to carry more often. So, obviously, the first question when contemplating purchasing or carrying a gun is, are you legally able to do so? Now, we are not here to offer you any legal advice. None of us are lawyers, so I highly recommend everyone does their own research. As American citizens, we are guaranteed our right to bear arms by the Second Amendment of the Bill of Rights in our Constitution. However, many places in America have their own laws that may have an effect on how you could purchase or carry a gun. So definitely do your research. Like, so important to do your own research. Don't listen to anybody else. Don't just Google it and ask question on the computer for other people to answer. Do your research. I can't stress that enough. Does anyone in the panel, any ladies have any notes on that to add to that?
I don't think so at the moment.
That one's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Just Google it and find real resources. It's very important. The next thing that everyone should ask themselves is, why are you buying a gun? Why are you wanting to? Are you wanting to buy a gun for personal protection, or are you just wanting it for recreation? Do you have any intent to carry the gun, or will it be sitting in a safe for most of its life? These are really important things to think about when you're considering a gun and will definitely make a difference in what you purchase. For the purpose of this conversation, we're going to assume most people here are wanting one for self-defense purposes. If you're planning on buying a gun so that you can carry it for self-defense, the next question is, are you prepared to use it if you have to? If you are unsure, then you need to do some serious research before you take your next step. I would highly recommend going to the range and trying out some of their rental guns before making the investment in one of your own, especially if this is the first time for you to ever shoot. Take some classes, look into getting some training. If you're planning on carrying, it is so important to know what comes with all that for your own safety. As far as that goes, what are your ladies' thoughts on that? Because I know it's not something we often talk about, but it's something that we really should think about, I think, more often. Are we prepared to use our weapon? Kind of thing. What are y'all's thoughts?
Well, I know for me, if it's my life or their life, yeah, I'm gonna, definitely shoot. But working, EMS, you or any medical, you're more tended to wanting to save lives rather than take them. But if it comes to my life or someone I love or my kids, I'm definitely gonna take that shot.
Definitely. I mean, nobody wants to have to, but you need to know if you're carrying that it could become a liability for you if you're not prepared. You know what I'm saying?
That's pretty much how I am on it. I know that every time I put it into one of the holsters that I may end up having to use it. And usually I have both of my kids with me. And when I brought them into this world, I promised myself that I would do anything and everything to make sure that they were going to grow up happy and safe. And it is my job as their mother to protect them. And I can guarantee that I'm going to protect them to the fullest. So if it means having to stop a threat, whether it be someone trying to kidnap my child or someone trying to hurt me while I have my children or whatever, my children come first and their safety is my top priority. And I'm not going to hesitate. I hope that I never have to have that situation come up, but my kids come first.
Definitely, 100%. Arminthia, do you have any thoughts on that one?
Just that no matter what firearm is your everyday carry, make sure you practice. I mean, I think gun, every member, I think, with Gun Channel says that. Practice with whatever your EDC is and be prepared, and know how to use it.
Definitely.
So.
Definitely. That being said, that actually tags in perfect segue to our next little spot. There's a lot of responsibilities that come along with being a gun owner, how you store it, how you maintain it, who can access it, how you maintain your use of it. So perfect there. There's a lot of things to think about that need to be decided ahead of time. Ladies, what do you guys think are the most important to think about before purchasing a gun for yourself that might not immediately come to mind in the moment? I know for me, something that I didn't immediately think of because I didn't have children yet, we weren't the best at storing our weapons properly when we were younger, and it was just me and him in the house. And we didn't have any kids ever. And we babysat for some friends one night, and we're like, right before they came over, like, holy shit, we need to get our act together because this is not, I mean, we weren't like haphazardly leaving guns around, but it wasn't, it certainly wasn't childproofed. So that's something we really had to put thought into and everything. Is how are you going to properly store these? How are you going to get into them once they are properly stored? How are you going, kind of the thought process there. What do you guys think? What are some things that y'all think are important to think about before purchasing a gun?
It really depends on the situation and what the use is for it. If it's going to be like, it wouldn't be the same if you've got kids of different ages. Um,
Right.
and it also depends on what type of gun. Like for us, we wouldn't really store all of our guns in the gun safe, but I wouldn't be able to use like the book hideaway gun safe for a shotgun. So it kind of just depends on what you're going to use it for, where you're going to use it, um,
Definitely.
things like that. Because we, for us, without going into too much detail, we have our hunting rifles in a separate place from handguns. Um, all of them are out of reach of the tiny fingers that run around this house. Um, but most of them are to where you have to use a key at some point. So, and
Definitely.
that and that's a crazy thing that you have to think about when you become a parent because we used to not really have that issue and it's different from when I grew up. We didn't have safes and gun cabinets and all of that when I was growing up. But nowadays you definitely have to.
I think another thing though is education. Education is huge. My kids aren't little anymore, but um, being able to know what to say your kids have a sleepover or something like that. Do the kids' parents, do they know that you have firearms in your house? Are you prepared to have them locked up and make sure that the other kids can't get to them? Things like that. Your kids are educated as to what's going on in your family and what's going on in your house too. I mean, it's a big deal.
Definitely. And I think that that is one of the responsibilities of a gun owner. If you have or ever planning to have kids, you need a plan. You can't bring something, especially if it's your first gun, and you're bringing it into your home for the first time. You've got to take that responsibility and look ahead and take care of education as a priority.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and see, like our kids, they're older. They range, for kids between 10 and 15. And when they were younger, we would have, the safe and the pistol safe and all that and stuff. But now that they're older, the safe's out in my husband's office and they go out and shoot all the time. Our son is on the skeet team and, they are very responsible and they know. So, they go out and shoot. They don't, they know trigger safety. They know everything they know, about gun safety. So, we have that option too. And anytime they have friends over, the guns are put, securely away and not around.
Definitely. And there's lots, if you're looking at purchasing a weapon for the first time, a gun for the first time, and you already have kids at home and there's so many resources out there to use for ways to educate your kids. I know NRA has some online. I know Julie Golub, who is a competitive shooter, she has a really great book for younger kids that we actually have a copy of. There's so many. I know A Girl and a Gun, their website, they have some guides to help you educate your kids through all ages. I believe Well Armed Woman does. Do you guys know of any other resources I've left out? Kind of thinking how to prepare parents if they're taking the plunge.
I'm sure if you get on Google, I'm sure there are plenty that you can find.
And I do know, I think it's Project Child Safe. Have y'all heard of that one? That one, not only do they teach about firearm safety for kids and how to teach your kids, but also about how to properly store your firearms. And they'll actually give you free gun locks if you need them. So check them out too. I know they're in just about every county in like the US. So yeah, they're pretty cool too. But yeah, that is something, you do have to think of these things before you purchase a weapon, before you purchase a gun. And it's something you might not necessarily think of off the bat. So the next step is to find the best gun for you. Finally, the fun part, right, y'all? There are 1,000 guides and articles and videos out there that could tell you what the perfect gun is for you. But there is absolutely nothing in the world that can beat personal experience. Go to the range, try as many guns out as you possibly can, find a group to go shoot with and try what they have. Do not make a hasty purchase or let someone else make it for you. Nothing on earth will beat the feeling of a gun that you've personally picked out that you know works for you. The way a gun fits, it feels, it handles, its recoil, all the mechanics all play a part into how well you will shoot and how much you'll enjoy it or not. I am 100%, if you can't tell, this is a soapbox for me. I'm not to say now my first handguns were all bought by my husband and he's amazing and he got me into shooting and I love him for it. And I love some of the guns that he got me, but I also really hate some of the guns that he got me. And I really hated shooting some of the guns. And it's just, there's nothing that beats. I don't know. I know some of you ladies have and some of you haven't bought your own. But I'll go ahead and start with the first one real quick. My first handgun that I ever bought by myself, for myself, is my Glock 17. And oh my God, nothing beats the feeling. Like I love the older guns that I have that my husband bought for me, but nothing beats the feeling of the gun that you have tried out. You've tried a whole bunch of others and you know that that fits your hand and you can shoot that with confidence. And I love it. So that being said, Ladies, what is the first handgun that you tried? So the very first one you've ever shot, my very first handgun, the one that I actually shot was a 1911, and it was a 45, and it was clunky. it was like a Turkish brand version. But my first one that I carried was a Bersa 380 Thunder. And I liked it, but it didn't quite fit me well. So let's start with that. What's the first handgun that you tried or carried? Let's start with Jesse.
Um, the first handgun that I ever tried was a Colt 357 revolver. It was my daddy's. The
Awesome.
first, my husband just told me it was the Trooper Mark III. Thank you, honey. Um, the first gun that I got for me was the Bersa Thunder 380 because I thought that I just would love it. And it was going to be awesome because I could fit it in my cute cowboy boots and I could carry it in all of my purses until I found a holster that I was comfortable with. And that was a mistake because I really did not like that gun. My hand did not fit it very well.
Now, did you get to
Hence,
try it out before you bought it?
no, no, I was young, dumb, not very educated.
We've
So
all been
I
there.
just saw it online and I was like, I love that one. It had an extra magazine. It had the key lock on it, so I didn't have to worry about anything. Like leaving it at the house or something. At the time, I did not have a gun safe or a gun cabinet. So, I was thinking like eventually my kids would get older and leaving firearms in the house, I could just lock it and I wouldn't have to worry about it going off. It never occurred to me, hey, why don't you buy a safe instead of buying a gun that has that feature? So yeah, I've lived, I've learned, and I actually enjoy my husband's 1911 and 45 caliber because it's shiny and it's just an amazing gun. But yeah, might have to take that thing back.
Awesome. Stacy, what was the first handgun that you ever tried or carried? And did you buy it and pick it out yourself? And then what's the first one that you may have bought by yourself or for yourself?
I really couldn't tell you what the first gun was because back then my husband was usually twisting my arm to go out there and shoot. So it was whatever gun he put in my hand. I didn't really pay attention to making models or any of that. But once I decided that I wanted to get better at shooting and get ready to take my concealed carry, I tried his Glock 19, which I really liked it. He had bought me a Taurus Millennium G2 9mm for Christmas. So I tried that one too, but I didn't really like the way it felt. Didn't like the trigger pull at all. And a friend of ours has a shield. And so he brought that over. And so I ended up really liking the shield. I like the Glock 19. It's just too big for me to want to carry all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, so far I'm going to go with the shield. I haven't got it yet. I should hopefully have it within a couple weeks. So I should have it by the time I get my concealed carry license in because I'm still waiting for that to come in.
Awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Very cool. Arminthia, what is the first handgun that you tried or carried? And then I know you haven't bought one for yourself yet, but are you looking at any? It's a two-part question.
I honestly cannot remember. I'm pretty sure it had to have been a 22 because when I really started shooting, I started shooting with the 4-H kids. To know exactly what it was, I don't know. I can tell you that, man, my kids were little. My husband actually bought me a pistol a 22 pistol. And I was so mad. I got it I wasn't into the gun thing at all. I mean, the kids shot with him and everything, but he actually bought me my little 22 black pistol with the pink pearl grips on it. And I remember being mad at him. I mean, it was over a year where I was so mad. And I was just, oh, he bought me a stupid gun. And I just, oh. And I was just, oh. And now, I mean, when I went and took my concealed carry, he actually pulled out a whole bunch. And of course, I'm married to Clover Tack, right? So I get to kind of pick and choose. So, sorry, my brain's not all here, y'all.
Now you got a grandbaby in your lap. I get it.
Yeah, no, it's like going to mush right now.
Are you looking at any guns for purchase, or are you wanting to try any for purchase?
It is the plan to do so eventually, but I can tell you financially right now, we've got to make it through SHOT Show and want to make her next year before we start looking at anything. So we'll see.
Who knows? You might find your dream gun there.
Oh, he's fussing at me too. He says I picked the freaking collectible stuff because, oh my gosh, the Colt, oh my God, it is awesome. I love it.
She's got good taste. Can you blame her?
I know, right? I didn't realize it was a collectible, but it shoots smooth. Oh my goodness. And it fits in my hand perfectly. It was the one that we took to Gun Gals Range Day, yes.
I remember that one.
The little bitty one.
Okay, so I'm still trying to convince my husband that I need that. Like, I need that. Also the 44 Magnum, but you know. The teeny tiny one can fit in like my teeny tiny purse.
I love it.
Again, I really do want to purchase my own gun. I think being married to my husband, it's weird for me to do most anything gun related by myself. It's just rare and weird.
That's why gun day was so much fun.
It really was. And don't get me wrong, because I mean, as long as I know what ammo I've got, it goes with which gun, I can go shoot, no big deal. But if I have to go into Clover stuff and pick out ammo, yeah, he's going to fuss at me because he would have, you know, if it's a 9mm, he may have, 4 different brands. And then I'm going to pick the wrong one.
It's all good. Anyway. We're all a work in progress.
Right.
We're all
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Those kind of bring up, we've brought up a good point with this, though. It can be really hard to have the opportunity to try different guns before you get one. And I get that completely. But the best way I have found is just finding like-minded people near you to go shoot and just be like, hey, I will buy you a box of ammo. Can I try your gun out? And honestly, most people are not going to turn you down because everyone wants a shooting buddy. So definitely, if you go to the local range, you're definitely bound to be able to get some rentals. You're bound to be able to find other like-minded people. It may suck to kind of put yourself out there. I get it. I do. I'm naturally an introvert, but it's well worth it to be able to practice with other guns and try them out and see what you like best before putting the money into it. So yeah, the next step with your gun is practice and preparation. If you are unable to practice and become proficient with your firearm, you should not carry it, period. I know that seems like a really rough statement, but if you do not have the ability to shoot the weapon properly and effectively in a bad situation, then it is only more of a hazard to you and innocent bystanders around you. I'm certainly not saying that you should live and breathe at the range all day, every day, although if you can, why not, right? But if you're going to carry, you really do need to be proficient with your firearm. I personally like to make it to the range a minimum of at least once a month. We like to go more often, but even on our busiest months, we make it a priority to get out there at least once. Now, the frequency of range time needed will totally differ between people, and that's okay. It's all about being completely honest with yourself. So, ladies, how often do you require of yourself to practice at the range so that you're able to carry? Let's start this time with Arminthia.
Here lately, mine has depended upon the weather, because the weather has just been so crazy around here. Just pop-up storms that are nowhere on the radar. Uh, and like this week was my long week. So I had 2 days off, and one of those I had grandbabies. So I only technically had 1 day off. So it's a matter of fitting it in. It's fitting it in where I can. So
Definitely.
like you said, I mean, if I've not practiced in a long time, me carrying is kind of pointless if I've not shot in a while and I don't feel comfortable. So getting out to the range is important. It's extremely important.
Definitely, I agree. Stacy, how often
Well,
do you make it out?
I've never been to an actual gun range. I mean, my backyard is my gun range.
Well, not all of us are so lucky. No.
Yeah. But the last couple weeks, it's been really rainy. And so it's kind of muddy out there. And then when it's not raining, it's just been really, really cold and rainy here. So we haven't been able to get out there in the last, because I need to do some videos too. And, you know, like I had to do a range bag video while I wanted to do it the way I actually do it, you know, go out to my range in my backyard. And so it's been kind of wet and rainy. So it hasn't, you know, been able to, but I can pretty much go out there anytime I want, weather, you know, depending on the weather. So that's really nice to be able to step outside and shoot whenever you want.
For sure. That's what I call life goals.
It's really nice.
One day. One day.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, being out in the country, you know, any of our friends that want to come out and shoot, and, you know, we have, you know, Donut Lover and all them come out, and this is where they go because we live out in the country. Like they live in town. So we usually have friends out, come out and shoot.
That's awesome. All right. Jesse, what about you? I know things have been a little hectic up there lately, so.
Yeah, so this Michigan transplant kind of girl has yet to find an actual gun range. 'Cause some of them around here you actually have to have your concealed carry license for. But when we weren't having people viewing this house, we had targets tacked up or stuck up to the wall. So I would take the flashlight or the little laser thing and put it into the barrel of the gun, turn it on, and do practices of how quick I was able to put the gun or put it on target, and how long it took me to focus on where I wanted on the target. So I didn't technically get out to a gun range and, you know, have freedom seeds flying from my gun, but I was able to practice in-house while staying safe. And I did it during nap time, so I was uninterrupted a few times.
That's awesome.
But I really can't wait to move because then we'll have our own gun range. It's going to be awesome.
That does bring up a really good point, though. I mean, even if you can't get to the range as often as you liked, dry fire practicing, if you're able to do it and can look up how to do it safely, is invaluable. And I know there's lots of different ideas on that. So I'm going to let you Google them yourself and, you know, find the YouTube videos on that. I'm sure our guys that we're connected with have plenty to look up. If you check out gunchannels.com, someone can point you in the right direction. But yeah, it's definitely something, it's very invaluable. And I actually do use that as well. So if you count that, I would count that as practice time. So you're good. You're good. So.
It's awesome. Some days we have cork guns. and we get the little ones involved just because, they got to learn gun safety too, and you might as well start early.
Definitely.
So we clear rooms looking for bad guys or dinosaurs or monsters, whichever keeps them most entertained.
That's awesome. We've been doing that with the bows lately with ours.
I can't wait to get a bow. I'm jealous.
Oh, he's loving it. We got a cheap one for his last birthday, like just a kid one, and I've had to like jerry rig some arrows because he keeps busting them. But that's a side note. So yeah, start your kids early. But next question: what type of practice do you guys normally do at the range? Do you have any drills to prepare for carrying, or do you just kind of? I mean, there's nothing wrong with plinking because we all need some of that practice as well. But what is y'all's normal routine? What kind of things do y'all like to practice while you're at the range? Let's start with Stacy this time.
Not really. I mean, we have some targets set up, and we'll sometimes do it from different, distance. And when I first started wanting to get out there and shoot and stuff, my husband had me do so far away, and then we get close, and then just doing it like really rapidly. I mean, just to get used to the gun, and stuff. But other than that, we just kind of shoot at different targets, and that's about it.
Awesome. Sounds like fun. Arminthia, what about you?
Basically we have well, let's say that. My husband has a saying. Aim small, shoot small. So we go for smaller targets. Paper plates, things like that. As far as to have an actual regimen or thing that I go through, not necessarily. It depends on how froggy I feel that day.
I hear ya. Awesome. Jesse, what about you, hun?
Okay, so when this girl was a Texas girl, like actually living in Texas, we enjoyed having range day days, and we would print off these awesome targets from this great guy called Ghost Tactical, and we would go and have an awesome day. Otherwise, I just pretty much use a body target and act like it's somebody that is trying to kidnap my kids, and I go all mama bear on it. That's usually
Watch out for her. She aims for the throat. Well, she had a name for it, but she tends to hit it.
that in the lower region. This mama bear don't play, y'all. This mama bear don't play. But once we move, I'm really excited to doing water balloon targets and balloon targets with confetti. I think that's going to be so much fun, just watching like paper bits fly all over the place.
That'll be awesome.
And having a backstop and shooting a paint can or the spray cans and letting them just like paint the backboard. That's going to be my next project whenever we move.
Very
That's
awesome.
my targets.
Very cool. Most recently, I've typically been doing my practice actually during meetups for a girl and a gun. So there's different drills that we go through as long as just regular plinking for fun. Most recently, I got a chance to go to what we call Purple Track, which is an intermediate level of pistol shooting. And we have a move field. So it has targets that are steel targets that look like rabbits and ducks. And it actually moves, and they teach you to draw your pistol and shoot the moving targets, which is really fun. And if you ever have a chance to try it, do it because it's so much fun. But definitely do it with people who know what they're doing so that you can get some help. Because it's a little daunting at first if you haven't done something like that. But yeah, most of the time we have a couple drills, but nothing, set that I do every single time. So, all that said, owning and carrying a gun from someone from someone not familiar with it can be a lot to take in. And it shouldn't be scary, but it shouldn't be taken lightly either. There's so many resources out there to take advantage of to learn more. For ladies, there's some great websites that can help guide you more in the process, like the Well Armed Woman, A Girl and a Gun that I know of. The best thing I can honestly recommend is to reach out to a group or people at your local range and learn what you can from them. The majority of the people in the 2A community are so open to sharing their knowledge with you. Most of the people will not turn you down to teach you a bit about what they have. And if they do, shrug it off as an old fuddy-duddy and ask someone else there because they are few and far between. For ladies, if you're looking for a more comfortable setting, there are tons of ladies only classes and clubs and online groups that are there for you. And us, we have our own Facebook group. You're more than welcome to join, or if you'd rather, just send us an email and ask any questions you may have. And we're totally not just exclusive to the ladies. Guys, if you have any questions for us, please send those in to us. We would love to hear them and help you out and give you our opinions. You can find those emails. We're going to link them below or send one to all of us at info@gun-gals.com. So, ladies, all of that interesting stuff being shared, kind of a starting point for where people should go to look into buying a gun or starting to carry. What's something that you know now that you wish someone had told you when you first started with guns? Let's start with Jessie.
Oh, that's a little tough. Looking back now, I wish that someone had told me to pretty much trust myself. I didn't think that I would like shooting the bigger caliber of guns. And looking back now, I wish that I had taken that opportunity a lot sooner. And yes, I wish that I had listened to my husband. And he's like, you can handle it. I'm like, no, that's okay. I'm going to stick with my 380. And now I love its 45. Yeah, trust in yourself and start small just to make sure that you're comfortable, but don't be afraid to try it.
Definitely. I love it. Stacy, what's something that you know now that you wish someone would have told you when you first started with guns?
I'm not really sure that there was anything that I wasn't told, really. I mean, my husband did teach me really well. He does not always know what he's talking about, like he's claiming in the chat, but
I saw that.
But yeah, that's why I kind of hesitated because I seen his tag. I seen the tag in there, but no, I mean, he did teach me really well, and he, made sure that I knew everything I needed to know. Even yelled at me a few times for like, finger off the trigger, and I would have to show him my finger's not on the trigger, because he would think it is, and it's not. And he's like, okay, just checking. But he has been a really good teacher on teaching me how to do that, which for him is really surprising. He usually teaches by yelling, and he really didn't. I think because I think he was scared that if he was too tough or he was yelling, that I would say, okay, fine, I'm not doing it. I think he was just happy that I was out there and finally taking an interest in it. But he has been really, really good on that. And, getting me telling me how to stand, the best ways to do that. So I think he's told me everything I need to know, and there's probably more that I still need to know that he hasn't thought of. So
awesome. There's always room to grow. All right, Arminthia, what is something that you know now that you wish someone had told you when you first started with guns?
Okay, here I am. Learn from someone other than your husband. No. I say that with love in my heart, honey. He's way better now. And he does wonderful with kids and other people. And he's done way better with me now than what he used to. But we've had, and he's saying, yep, truth, because some couples like Jesse and Tardot, they may do just amazing together. And my husband and I, we do not shoot together that often. I mean, I know y'all have seen pictures of us shoot together once. Um, but it's just not something that happens very often. We're very different people, and we learn differently, and teach differently, and it's just, it can be overwhelming and very frustrating. So know who you're going to be learning from, or shooting around, or partnering with. um, that's extremely important, because if you go out there and if you're not having fun, and there's a lot of fussing and stuff, I mean, it just takes the whole fun out of it, and you're just not going to want to go back. You're just going to be like, no, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
for sure. Other than that, don't let somebody talk you into something you don't want.
For sure.
I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, just because they like it or they think it, because that's a big deal too. And we all know this to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Men, and I don't mean it ugly, but men like to tell us girls what would work best for us.
Oh, no, they don't do that.
Never. Not once.
Be your own person and find what works for you.
Well, and honestly, I've seen that with women in various gun groups also. And I don't think anyone's trying to do it in a way that they're trying to make you
Right.
bend. I don't think anyone's doing it harmfully, or they're intending to anyway.
Right.
But it does come across that way, because what works for some ladies doesn't work for others. Some ladies prefer to carry a smaller weapon, or a
Mm-hmm.
smaller or bigger caliber, whatever. And some of us ladies like a large full-size gun in our body the whole time. Like, people are different. Same with holsters. Some people are super anti certain holsters, and some people prefer those. Everyone's going to be different.
Well, we kind of had that discussion the other night when we were talking about concealed carry purses,
Mm-hmm.
and one that you absolutely love, and it's sitting at my house right now, and I absolutely hate it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just, you have to find what works for you, and don't let someone else convince you that something is good for you when it's not, or it doesn't feel right for you.
Definitely. And that's men, women, anything.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Anybody.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I think I've probably got two. My first one is don't let anyone take the fun out of it for you. If you enjoy it and you start now, let me preface this by saying Shane was amazing at teaching me. And he actually took us on our third date together was to basically a gun range. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with guns before I fell in love with him. But um when, if you start practicing more, and some people, not necessarily Shane, because he was actually usually very good. He just got a little competitive sometimes. But other people at the range, or other people would try and make you do everything their way and say, well, you can't stand that way, or you can't hold it this way. You have to hold it this grip, even if you've been taught differently. And just don't let anyone take the fun out of it for you. Don't make it a chore. Because in the end, when it's not about personal defense, it should still be about fun too. I mean, it can be about both. It's not just a chore. My second one is kind of what I said earlier. I spent years without shopping for my own gun. I just had whatever Shane had. It was partially a money thing, partially I just never took the time to look into it. And then I did, and I have found my soulmate gun, ladies. I am telling you, I love that thing. Um, but yeah, just take the time and do your own thing and learn your own stuff and be your own person, like Arminthia said. Definitely. So, excuse me, ladies, what is one piece of advice you would give someone looking to buy a gun or start carrying for the first time? Just kind of general advice to someone who's never purchased a gun or carried before. Let's start with our Minty on this one.
Oh goodness, you could have given me a second.
Sorry.
That's okay. One piece of advice. Generalized. Oh, I don't know. Just don't be afraid to carry. That's all I can think of at the moment. I know there's something else on my brain, but I told you it's mush a little bit. I keep having to reposition. Oh, this chair's uncomfortable.
It's all good.
I don't know. I'll think of something before the end of the show, I'm sure.
You can always jump in. No worries.
There you go. Thank you.
Stacy, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to someone looking to buy a gun for the first time or start carrying for the first time?
Well, for one, I mean, they need to try different, different millimeters and different, styles of guns, to figure out what works better for them. I mean, they might, start with a 22 or go up from there, and stuff, but that's all I can really think of. And, when they first start shooting, don't close your eyes, because whenever, my husband forced me to go out there, that was the first thing I would do right before I pull the trigger, is close my eyes. You're like, quit closing your eyes. And just not be scared. And that was my biggest thing for the longest time, was I would go out there and stuff, was, scared of how the gun's going to recoil, and everything else. That was just kind of, so yeah, don't be scared, and definitely don't close your eyes. But, but yeah, just try out different guns.
Definitely. Jessie, what's your bit of advice for a new, someone new to buying a gun or starting to carry?
Someone new to buying guns, go find a gun range that will let you rent guns. You can rent all different types. You may not like a 9mm from one and you love it from another. Start small, work your way up. And for those that are new to carry in your home a lot. Home practice is going to make you comfortable when you're out in public.
Definitely.
And it also helps you get comfortable with yourself and the piece that you're carrying. And depending on the holster, you'll kind of get a feel for it. So that way you're not out in public checking your holster, or like with me with my femme fatale holster, I'm not sitting there like fumbling with it out in public. From the time that you wake up, put your firearm in its holster and carry it at the house. That is really the only way you are going to get comfortable. If you can get comfortable in your house, you're definitely going to be comfortable out in public.
Definitely. I agree 100%. My biggest piece of advice that I would give someone who's looking to buy a gun for the first time is don't be afraid to ask. At anybody. If you go to a gun shop, I almost guarantee that anyone in there, even the customers, are going to be willing to answer questions. Say, hey, what is that you're looking at? Do you like it? Do you own one? What do you have? Just ask all the questions you can think. And that's such a daunting thing, like for me, especially because I am not that kind of person. But it's so important. There's such a wealth of knowledge in the 2A and gun community, and just the people that are there. Now, a salesman, he may have another agenda if you're going to Bass Pro and talking to the people behind the counter. Not saying that there aren't some great salesmen there who truly do care, but there's a lot of jerks. So, I mean, ask the customers, ask the people handling the weapons what they think. Are they looking at getting a new gun? Who knows? You may make some new friends who don't mind taking you to try out different guns, who don't mind teaching you some of the ropes. It's a very open community. It truly is. And especially, the women and the men alike, I really truly don't think anyone's going to just completely, unless they're having a really crap day, no one's just going to flat turn you down and not answer any questions, or, they may be busy, they may be in a hurry. But I think everyone in this community is open to sharing their passion. I know I certainly would be. I may be a little overbearing, but scare them away. But yeah, just ask everyone at the range, at the gun store, get online, ask the community, just ask any question. And, get out of your comfort zone. I was around my husband for a very long time and our friends, but I didn't shoot with other people for a very long time. And the wealth of information that I learned just from doing that, because it's not that they don't know that. It's just things that never came up, or they never mentioned, or they just didn't think to talk about. I learned so much from just being around another group of people shooting, just from our Gun Gals range day. It's just so, I don't know. It's a great feeling to have different, and I know that's hard, especially when it's hard enough to get to the range, but definitely try and go find a group, try and find people to just kind of share your passion with. So yeah. All right. As we start to wind down for the evening, let's run through the panel for any last thoughts on tonight's topics. Let's start with Jessie.
Of course. For me, let's see. Everyone should definitely go check out Gun Gal's SpreadShirt links, because we have some really awesome t-shirts. And I love Range Hair Don't Care.
I love it.
Other than that, I'm going to be dropping a couple of videos for Gun Gals this week. It's going to be an interesting next 2 days. I'm going to be stockpiling on some video time.
So excited. It's going to be awesome. All right, Stacy, anything to add for tonight?
Just thinking up ways to do harm to my husband. Does that count?
That sounds like an interesting topic for another night.
We may want to leave this chat unlisted. But no, not really.
All righty. Arminthia, anything from you?
Just want to make sure that we thank everyone for joining us tonight. The topic was awesome. The chat was extremely lively. And thank y'all for bearing with me. Sorry I didn't chat much in the chat. It's hard to type one-handed. So, anyway, yeah. My hope is to get a couple of videos this week. I am going to work a little overtime this week. I was hoping to do them tomorrow, and I forgot that I have this little one. So it will happen this week.
Awesome.
Just not promising when.
Awesome. Looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
A couple notes before we start to close down. A couple things that we noticed in the chat. All you guys are looking for the secret magic to get your wife into guns. We may have to look at addressing that as a topic, or in general. Ladies, what do you guys think?
I like it.
Let's do it. Look for it in the future. Not this month, maybe next. So come back. We will address it. Another thing we're going to talk about is, do different guns or different colors of guns and sparkle of guns help with that? I think that will fit perfectly into that chat. So keep an eye out. We're going to do it for you guys. You asked, we're doing it. All right. So thank you to the lovely ladies on the panel and to everyone in the side chat. Really, you guys were so awesome tonight. We love all the lively chat. So keep it up. Real quick, a huge shout out to the Gun Channels. If you haven't yet, check it out. It's Gun Channels is an online 2A community where we can share and connect with other like-minded members. We stream live there as well as here every Sunday at 9 p.m. Central. Also, shout out to the Yankee Marshal. Check him out and his pistol project. They mentioned us tonight, and we see a lot of you guys came from there, so thanks for checking us out. Thank you for joining this week's episode of Gun Gals Live Show. Next week, we're going to talk about non-lethal defense options as we continue our safety month. We would love your input for what content you would like to see from Gun Gals on our live show and the rest of the channel. You can share your ideas and just send us some love at info@gun-gals.com. That's all for now. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Bye.